Yeah, it's definitely a different journey this time around. In 2008, it was a different experience. I didn't know what to expect going into Beijing. It was my first Olympic Games, but you know, since coming to Purdue University and just going through NCAA ranks and then just getting more experience internationally, my confidence level with my diving has grown a lot, and then just the character behind it has just totally changed as far as perspective.
Do you feel as prepared as you could possibly be at this point?
Yeah, absolutely. Adam and I have put in a lot of hard work, a lot of training, and you know, we definitely don't know what's going to happen, but we've done all we can to train, and so now it's just kind of getting our bodies prepared, staying relaxed, and just keeping perspective.
When you sort of, numbers-wise, put yourself in a spot where you can contend, right? You feel pretty comfortable and confident about. If you do your best, you might put yourself in a pretty good position.
Yeah, absolutely. When you start focusing on results, your mentality towards the competition will drastically change. So, just the focus going into competition isn't focus on whether we can get on the podium or not. With our abilities inside the pool and practicing, we know that that's definitely possible. But what we need to think about is just taking it one step at a time, one dive at a time, and then one competition at a time.
With what you did at the World Championships with the silver medal, how much of a springboard was that in terms of that confidence getting to where it is today?
Well, I mean, diving is an interesting sport. When you do well in competition, so the silver at World Championships definitely set me up. The judges see you as more of a contender. They see that you're able to go through the adversity throughout the competition, and so just being around the judges, being around the different high-level athletes around the world definitely puts you in a position where you're able to spring from that.
There's been a lot of talk about Americans not medaling in diving over the last 12 years. Do you feel any pressure kind of being the face or maybe the leader of the squad?
Yeah, I mean, in reality, the pressure's there. That the United States hasn't medaled, but I think a fault that we went wrong in 2008 was focusing so much on getting these medals. It just totally wrapped our minds around trying to be on this podium, but USA Diving, Team USA has just grown so much from our experience in 2008 that, it's just one step at a time. Like I said, it's just going through how we've trained, trusting in our coaches, trusting in the other staff, and just enjoying this experience.
I think that, I don't know if you guys have seen kind of their family t-shirts or their little slogan this year, but it's Journey Redefined. And I think one of the biggest differences for David is, what that means, I think, for David is that in 2008, he was really chasing after a lot of things that he thought would bring him happiness and satisfaction, which is fame and glory and all that kind of stuff. And I think he realized after 2008 that doesn't satisfy, and he really has a redefined purpose, that he's just realized that the gifts that he's been given are a gift from God, and he really wants to maximize those gifts for his glory and not his own glory. And so I think that's a huge difference. And physically, we just have 4 more years of experience and 4 more years of training underneath our belt, and so he's just much more mechanically refined and he's stronger. But the biggest difference is his mental approach to all of this.
That's sort of been your message over the years, right? Is,
Absolutely.
Don't focus on the results. And
that's right.
But he did a good job of buying in.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think he's bought it completely. Because one of our slogans, and this was a quote actually by John Wooden, but it said, if you focus on the things that you cannot control, they will adversely affect the things that you can control. And the results is just something that we can't control. If we want to control results, that means we need to control the judges, we need to control all the other competitors, and there's so many factors that we don't have control over. But what we can control is we can take our thoughts captive, every one of them, and we can channel those through and make sure that they're going to appropriate places and just focus on what it is that we can do. So focusing on results is just a waste of energy. We need to focus on what we can control.
Obviously, puts a lot of great divers, but have you seen anybody with his drive, the guy who's going to drive to Indianapolis and drive back and just do all this extra training that maybe you don't require from an athlete?
There's no question he has a tremendous amount of drive. I mean, I think I've seen athletes with the same amount of drive and the same amount of passion, but he also has the gifts from God that are we have no control over. He's just an unbelievably gifted athlete, but obviously his passion and his drive and his dedication are at the very top of anybody I've ever seen.
Are there things he tweaks from now until London? I mean, he's only got a few weeks here, but you're always looking for little tiny things?
If I do my job correctly, no, absolutely not. You know, we're where we need to be right now. This isn't the time to be tweaking or changing. This is the time to stay focused, to not overtrain, but to realize that rest is a crucial element right now as we go into these last few days, and understanding that the work is done and we're ready. We need to know that and believe that.
Obviously, he's going there to dive, but how important is that he experience and just enjoy the experience of being there? Maybe get away from the pool a little bit and take in everything that London has to offer.
Absolutely. You know, I think that he's not only going there to dive, but I think he's also going there to be a representative. You know, to be a representative for his country, to be a representative for the God that he believes in. You know, and to really make this experience not just focused on himself, but as we kind of talked about with his redefined focus, is to go there and really enjoy the experience, but also just to find ways to help others and to be an example for others and to love on other people and meet other people and realize that this isn't just about trying to win a medal. This is about much more than that.
What pressure is that on a 23-year-old to be carrying in some way the representation of the entire country?
Yeah, you know, absolutely. I think that we know what we sign up for when we go down this road, and so there's certainly a lot of pressure. But ultimately, what we need to realize, just like his journey redefined, is that what he does isn't going to ultimately bring satisfaction to anybody else. You know, so certainly there's a lot of pressure, and we would love to perform well and for our country and everything else. But ultimately, realizing that that's not the true meaning of what we're doing this for.
I mean, Purdue University has just been an amazing opportunity, an amazing experience while I was here, and competing for the university and being on the NCAA level just helps build everything. It's all just a building block. We're all learning, we're all growing constantly, and the moment we feel like we arrive is the moment we're definitely going to start to falter and start to deteriorate. So, you know, you just look at every opportunity and, you know, build and grow and learn from that.
Have you graduated yet?
No, I have not. I'm 30 credits shy of graduating. I will definitely finish my degree here at Purdue. I don't know what the Olympics has in store. I don't know what we'll have in store after, but we'll definitely get that diploma from the finest university.
It sounds like in 08 you were a little focused on the results, and now it's more about, you know, doing your best and seeing what comes of that. Is that a good way to put it a little bit?
I mean, absolutely. You know, like I said, when you focus on results, your mind just starts getting wrapped up in the competition. You focus on your other competitors, you focus on what judges' scores you're going to get, and, you know, it's not going to help. So just having the support that I've had from Adam and just sports psychology and most importantly, my faith of, you know, I'm not in control of it. It's not me who is trying to get the scores. And I'm trying to dive for God's glory. And, you know, when I have that contentment of that, it's just totally puts perspective on why I'm doing this and how I'm doing it.
When you first started diving, did you ever imagine the fame that would come along? You're on a Coke can.
Yeah.
Things like that don't happen to regular people.
Yeah, I mean, it's really surreal. 10 years ago, I would have expected me being in this position, but, you know, you look at this and just you got to be thankful for this opportunity, because it's not something that a lot of people get to experience. You know, you get to represent large companies and you have that responsibility to reflect what their values are, and so, you know, it's amazing. I'm extremely thankful that God has put me in this position to have a platform that's created for him.
How did you get involved in diving? I know it was kind of a story of a friend kind of took you to a lesson or something like that.
Well, I started diving in 2000, but before that it was just trying to be on the Olympic team since '96, and so, you know, I just went through a lot of different sports, and I found diving.
From a training perspective, what have you done differently this time around, maybe compared to what you were doing in 2008?
Well, in 2008, it sounds funny, but I was younger. 23-year-old body isn't as good as a 19-year-old body, so I was able just to go train through, wasn't hurt a lot, and, you know, now it's more about training smarter. You know, we have to listen to our body when it's just screaming, aching. You know, you have to pay attention to that, because that's where you need the rest. That's where your body's telling you to, you know, take a step back and you know, try to see where you can grow.
Outside of the competition, what are you looking for the most? the opening ceremony? Were you able to take in any of the other?
Well, in 2008, the opening ceremony was by far the memory that I had that's ingrained in my mind, and it's exhilarating to think back on that. But I don't know if I'm going to go to the opening ceremony again because it was such a high, and then I competed 2 days later, and it was just after that high, it would crash down to the low, and then have to go back up again. So, we'll definitely evaluate. But something that I wasn't able to do in 2008 was go to see a lot of different events. So hopefully we'll be able to do that and see more of my family, see more of my friends, and then hopefully meet up with the John Purdue Club.
What two events? Just how special is that team with Nick, and then obviously as an individual?
It's when you go into the Olympic Games and you have two different events, and one event is a team event and one event is an individual event. You kind of have to take a step back and look at why we're at the Olympic Games, and you can't put the focus on yourself. It's Team USA. We're competing for the United States. We're competing for all the people who put in the hard work behind the athletes, and so it's definitely an honor to compete for Team USA. It's going to be exciting to compete with Nick, and then when we're on that platform individually, then that's when we really have to take that step back and look at that.